can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin, I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6th sense for imposters, so now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys. Cause I break the chains. They try to hold me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We are paying a visit to a special company that's going to help us do something today that you're going to see in this video. We are down in Georgia. We are visiting a company. If you have ever been on the X3 Life pages, you know of Andy Anderson and Southeastern side by side. So today we are here, we're visiting a shop. We're going to do an install, CT RaceWorx upper and lower control arms, or A arms as they are called. Basically here to check out his shop. I've known Andy for a little while. He's a super friendly, cool guy. Always super informative, open with information and stuff. So we decided to pay him a visit and come down here and basically check out the shop and see what all's going on. So right now, let's step inside the shop and see. We've got the X3 in here right now, getting it all ready to get tore down and suited up with some new CT parts. So check it out. We're gonna roll in here and say hi. So as you walk in, you walk through the front door in the entrance, you have their showroom as you come in here. They're getting stocked up. They got some tires, some wheels and stuff in here. They keep a few basic essential parts. You come in, you walk through, you will be greeted by said puppy, which is not here right now. But just checking it out, showing you guys the entrance and the showroom in here. We are going to proceed out into the garage area and basically gonna get this party started. So come on guys, you come with me, check out the X3. So these are like I guess you say a square tubing construction. It's a bump up from the 120 models. Like the 120 models I've seen in the past, especially on the 19 that I got at the house, is it's like a round tubing, but it's really thin and it's not high clearance, not super high clearance like these. So it's very prone to getting bent. Like if you catch a rock or a tree or something on here, you can bend these pretty easily. And there is a radius in the back, a couple bends from factory that is easily bent if the right impact comes across. So the reason being and the desire for these is basically how boxed and beefy they are. Being the lower control arms, and we'll pull them off and do like a size comparison, but these are, I think visiting CT the other day, these are a mild steel. If I'm not wrong, I'll have to look that up. But it actually has gussets on the inside, plus it's boxed. It's all pieced together and boxed, which makes it super, super durable. It can actually take impacts as such. And it has a higher clearance. So just as like a reference, just looking at it, is the fact that just from here to here comparison, there is a huger radius bend coming up through here, so it adds more ground clearance, so you're not as prone to hitting stuff as far as rocks, seeing how we do a lot of rock crawling. The main factor is yeah, you could avoid that by dodging obstacles and stuff like that. But being the person that I am, adrenaline junkie, it's more fun to just take the harder road of travel, see if you can conquer it and get over it, and basically make that path yours. And having the security of mind of knowing this is not going to break and leave me literally, miles and hours away from the parking lot, and no service area, no help, no tools, no replacement parts, because it actually is, I guess you'd say, rigorous to replace these control arms compared to other side-by-sides, the disassembly and whatnot. So for me, philosophy is more riding, less working on it. So this is security, state of mind, using some of the best products with the best prices on the market.
Once you start taking the wheel off, you have to remove all the calipers. Basically, this whole front assembly is going to come off. The shock's going to come off, the A-arms are going to come off. We'll just disconnect the tie rod. We do not break the brake system loose. We leave it all intact, just take and hang the calipers up out of the way.
So you've got 4 jagged teeth, 2 on each side, so if there's a pressure pulling down, it digs into the plastic. And once it initially digs into the plastic, it's going to tear it up. It's hard to get them out. So out of everything on this machine, this is probably the biggest pain in the ass to remove. I think I would rather drill rivets than fight with these things. This and whatnot, as far as like social media content and all that stuff. I hate it. Those little clips, I hate them with a passion. They have these metal clips on there. Number one, they act as a sleeve between the metal components and help save the bushings. But when you go to pull them off, they get stuck on the threads of the stem there. So when you start to pull that off, it just like right here, that plate binds up and it won't allow you to pull the A-arm any further forward. That one was a little easier than the other one, thank goodness. Clap before you talk. You'll make it clap. You'll make it clap. All right, so a quick explanation about this, the differential. The smart lock, some people know, some people don't know, and I actually learned. So the way this differential works is it's not a true locker as maybe you would get in, say, other off-road buggies, maybe Polaris models and stuff. So the way that it works you have two different options as far as you have your smart lock and your Visco, but talking about the smart lock. So you have your trail active mode, which is kind of like a limited slip ordeal that can be adjusted via rock crawling, trail crawling. I know on XMRs you can do like mud and trail and whatnot. But then it has full diff lock mode. So it's not a true locker as far as the way lockers perform. There's actually a clutch pack inside of these, which it seems like that it just makes the clutch pack tighter. That is a very smart alternative for these machines. Seeing if one wheel gets in a very big bind, and if you was to romp down on the throttle, it would kind of release and ease up the pressure, so you wouldn't, say, snap an axle, bust the diff, break the drivetrain, some part of the drivetrain. That is a negative, because if it does release the pressure a little bit, you kind of lose your four-wheel drive, your three-wheel drive. It kind of comes in and out, it's intermittent. That's why a lot of people go with Halo 30s. That's kind of an expensive option. We were just talking about them. They're north of $3,000 just for the locker replacement. But that truly is for people who are, hardcore, need rock climbing abilities, four-wheel drive all the time, that can't suffice with the limited slip in these. To me, I'm fine with it, dealing with the 19 120 XRC model. It's been all right. There's been sometimes it's been kind of a headache, but it don't bother me that much. It is smart, because in a true four-wheel drive fashion, snapping axles or the drivetrain is probably going to cost you a lot more and a lot more of a headache. Then again, being out on the trails, you snap an axle. These things actually, once they go to three-wheel drive, any off-road buggy seems sometimes to become useless in bad spots. So that's just a quick explanation of the smart lock, and what my knowledge is and what I know about it, and kind of like the pros and cons.
All I do is I just put a light layer of grease on the bushing before I press it in with my hand, and I press the bushing itself in before I put the sleeve in, and then I've got a method that we use, a threaded rod, to press the sleeve itself in. Typically, when you install CT RaceWorx gusset kit, you'll take and cut these studs completely off, and you use a race plate. The race plate goes in behind here and bolts in, and you can actually come in from the front side with a nut, because the gusset plate, all of it works together like a puzzle. You have to put it together in a certain order to make it work. But this, because we're not installing it, you can actually just take and slide that back so that you can bring that back in, and now you can work it in there on the back side. Let me get this back.
always helps if you do this before you put it in the mud.
Oh yeah. Now, will it go?
The old mallet. There we go. Yeah, buddy.
When you install the CT RaceWorx upper A-arms, this is a steering stop on the factory A-arm. So on this knuckle, you have to go in, we'll take a grinder and cut that off, and then a buffing wheel, and actually we'll sand it back down smooth.
Basically just putting the bulkhead back on. Reinstalling is the same as uninstalling. You got your two 18mm bolts and nuts up here. These two down here are like studs, so you don't have to have a wrench or anything on the back of them, because there's a clip, retain clip, that's holding them in place. And then you got another 18mm bolt right here that threads into the bottom frame portion. Now these two top bolts up here, they are free floating, they're loose, so you have to have a wrench in the back. It's a extra pro to taking the diff loose. You can move it around and get your wrench in there. Reinstalling it after having it apart and stuff, the arms kind of have a little bit of flex in them. So getting it adjusted right and getting all your bolts in before you start tightening them down. Kind of thread this bottom one in. Two, also a note on these arms, where they are bigger, they're wider, they're beefier, there is a lip on the bottom of this bulkhead. So if you just take your leg, you got it set up like we do, just take your leg, push the arm up out of the way on both sides, you take both legs, kind of spread it out, and then just pop it right back in place.
I'll tell you, I learned this little trick right here from watching a video Manny at S3 Power Sports did, of taking this right here loose, the ball joint. I was like, how? Because I used to use a daggum wrench to do this. And I watched one of his videos one day and I saw him do it. I was like, man, that's the damn neatest little trick in the book. Now that I've got this installed, you see why we had to grind the steering stop off. When this comes to full droop, that steering stop would cut in to the front side of the A-arm here. So we cut it off to give it plenty of clearance in there. So